On Nation FM. It's a brand new hour, 9 minutes past the top of the hour. This, of course, is the Nation FM Drive. It's Afro Wednesday. All those Afro jumps, they are here. My name is Anthony Muli. It's a brand new hour, and of course, we have a very interesting conversation. Ni makosa sana haukuwa part of this. Ni makosa manze, ilikuwa makosa. Nation FM K is where I'm at. In case you want to get in touch with me, on Facebook Nation FM, on Instagram Nation FM _Kenya, 0719038963 is my number. I've got two gentlemen here, guys who I don't know how to put it, but these guys were part of a very important event that went down over the weekend. I'm talking about Man Cave. We've been talking about it for the last 2-3 weeks, how it's going to be big, how you should buy tickets. It went down. If you're part of it, then you have stories, lots of it, and probably you're not even exhausted to your workmates, your relatives. I've got my friend here, Brian Mushiri, who was a panelist in this very noble event. How you doing?
A noble cause.
A noble cause. Kosalama?
Kofiti, man.
This was the first time you were a panelist.
By the way, yeah.
It was so good, yeah?
Yeah, mimi mezoea tu kumoderate panels.
Yes, chills kidogo hivi.
Yeah, you're a bit tense.
Kawaida.
But very deep.
All right.
Panel.
Our event expert, his name is Eric, who has a podcast going on the Nation FM. How you doing, bro?
Good.
Uko salama?
Niko salama kabisa.
I think ungesema niko Nation FM, lakini niko sawa.
Salama nina huko.
All right, so Man Cave, this is the second edition. How big was it? Let's begin with you. From the expert point of view, if you compare Man Cave 1, Man Cave 2, give me the stats. How amazing, extraordinary, and if you compare, how was it?
Man Cave 2 was a growth, and it just showed us how Man Cave is morphing.
Yeah.
Man Cave is morphing to a movement.
Yes.
It's morphing to something that men look forward to. Wanataka kujipata in a position that they can be vulnerable with themselves.
Right.
They can face their demons.
Yes.
If you saw the paper for yesterday, like from what we saw in Man Cave 1, in terms of numbers and partners coming on board, and the experiences, it has more than tripled.
Did you get that? Oh my God, feeling.
The wow feature, it was there. Like the first time watu walikuja, there was no vitu kama food.
Right.
In this time watu walikula chakula wakaacha, like
Kapra
nyama choma.
My gosh.
Labaita came through. Like, what do you mean, manze? You ukiingia hivi, you have your ticket and you have your tag, na unapewa milk card, unaambiwa this you redeem it for nyama choma. And the men were like, are you serious?
Are you kidding me?
How much of nyama choma?
Like men conversation, and then there's meat after.
Then there's nyama choma.
Jeez.
Yeah, and after all that, supu.
Yeah, there was soup in the evening.
Aye.
It was a total man's treat.
You guys are just, making me feel the FOMO so bad because I was working here.
Oh, yeah.
I was definitely working. So, of course, you got the wow factor. This is the second edition. It's bigger than the first edition.
Yeah.
And it's likely going to be even more big. It's metamorphosing into something, like you said, like a movement.
A
Are we
movement.
looking to see this will be the go-to for men in terms of men conference?
I think...
Is this going to be the men conference Man Cave thingy?
I think from my perspective, men conference has been perceived from a point of misogyny.
Yeah.
Well, I stand to be
Even when you're
corrected,
reading the tweets.
If you're reading the tweets,
Yeah.
nanini,
It's always let's gather around and say anything anti-women.
anything anti-women.
Right.
Man Cave is very different.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about men. Talk about issues you are facing well personally.
Right.
Brian here was in the panel. Was among the panelists.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Brian, what do you think?
It's with the Man Cave, it's very interesting because we value all broad spectrums of life.
Correct.
So I'm here in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
We have Ole Kaparo, Francis Ole Kaparo, former Speaker of the National Assembly.
Exactly.
From like 1992 to 2007.
When you were not born.
Yes, when I was not born.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was an
Beg
elder.
your pardon. So alikuwa hapo.
Yeah.
And then you have someone like John Alanamu,
Alanamu,
who brings
right.
a perspective of what one would say, quote unquote, a young father. Dr. Julius Kipngetich from the corporate space.
Right.
And now someone like Pastor Mbevi, who is a leader as far as the country is concerned. You know, he has a very big program with street children and the boy child in the country.
Absolutely.
So unapata, part of the reason why your Man Cave yetu ilikuwa poa is we talked about things that relate to men.
Correct.
And I remember one time, Francis Ole Kaparo stood up and said, in the next Man Cave, we need to have women in. the man
Integrated.
cave. Yes, integrated in the man cave.
Right.
So give them an opportunity to come and buy a ticket.
Right.
And sit down and join us in our discussions, because he said it categorically that wanaume hawezi kabila wanawake na wanawake pia hawezi kabila wanaume. So it's we need to stop looking at it like it's a fight, like we are on one side
exactly
and they're on the other side, and now International Women's Day is coming, and when they sit on their forums they throw stones at us, and now when you get an opportunity
you throw stones. And at the end of the day, you're going home to your wife, to your mom, to your sister,
Yes.
I feel like this is something very noble, and for you, you know, that was a very balanced panel, right? I'm very sure you felt the thrill and the excitement. You've been given the opportunity. This is something very many people would envy. How did it feel for you to be involved in such a high-end panel?
I think, first of all, the first time I was approached to be part of the panelists, I was a bit worried and skeptical, because the term Gen Z inakuaga, these are spoiled brats, you'd call them.
Correct.
These are individuals who have no say in society or are just
they are a
spoiled.
nuisance, they're a
menace,
menace,
they are big-headed,
they lack respect.
They lack respect
and what have you. But when Bertha, who was actually a team lead in this event, and Dan sat me down and we had a conversation about the man cave and what it's bound to be, ilikuwa a wow factor. And I told myself, I will not go to that panel and be intimidated by Francis Ole Kaparo. Yes, he's my grandfather. He sits in a position where he is literally my grandfather.
Correct.
I will not be intimidated by someone who is an elder in the industry, John Alanamu, because I realized, okay, I'm being put in a panel that is quite strict. The thrill. Let's talk about the thrill, because when Ole Kaparo saw me for the first time, I deliberately wore the ripped jeans. To bring out
the Gen Z-ish stuff out of it.
Gen Z,
to lay the emphasis.
That was interesting, you know.
It's very interesting. You might say that Brand is an actor and he's looking for an Oscar. Because I was like, okay, is this scripted?
Because ukiangalia, mira nilikuwa nivae shorts. Ruth, my producer,
said what?
Manzi,
don't be too extra Gen Z.
Utakuwa umechoma sana. And when I went to say hi to Speaker Francis Ole Kaparo, he was like, I can see you already have ripped jeans. I can tell you're very young. So why do you tear these jeans? You want to look poor, and you're not poor. I can see you're not poor. And so when we took to the panel, I knew that was the conversation starter. And in our opening remarks, Francis Ole Kaparo went all out immediately.
He decided roasting.
First of all, you know, Francis Ole Kaparo is mzee, is a proper mzee of the Maasai community.
Correct. He commands the respect.
He does.
So tukiwa kwa panel, everyone anaongea akiwa meketi. Ole Kaparo akifikiwa kuongea anasimama. So he started off with myself and a very good friend of ours called Antonio So.
Correct.
And he was like, Mushiri kuja, so seated next to him. So he made me stand up and he called Antonio Sol. I'm wearing ripped jeans, my knees are all over the place.
Correct.
And he's like, now look at this one, Brian Mushiri. Uyu,
it's on a light note though.
Yeah, it was on a light note. But Uyu, this is the problem with our youth. Uyu amevaa trouser imeraruka. Lakini ukimwangalia, he is not poor, but he wants to be poor.
The time is about to come out even.
Yes. The time is about to come out.
So obviously he's not poor,
And then he went in for Anto's dreadlocks.
Yes.
About, of course, them being associated with thuggery and the rough hustling downtown world. So when I sat down and it was my time to do my opening remark, I was still debating within myself.
Was it a good idea?
Do I also go back and push and or do I just sit down, say my name is Brian Mushiri and I'm happy to be on this panel? And I was like, at that split second, I was like, I think this is an opportunity for these guys to see that intern who's 22 years in your office.
Anafikiriaje, their school of thought.
What's their school of thought? So when I got my chance to speak, and I took it off with a lot of respect to Francis Ole Kaparo, and I told him and the audience that, first of all, for this session, mimi nitaongea kama Gen Z. Ndio muelewe venye wanafikiria. I might not really be like that in the entirety because I need to learn also from you, but even ndio wanafikiria. So, mimi nimekam na ripped jeans, umeshani judge on the basis of trao yangu
of the outfit.
Ucha keti na mimi kwa ofisi ama mahali uketi usikie niko na nini kwa akili.
My content,
and you are underrated.
The famous, the famous Martin Luther. Yes. You shall not judge me by my looks, but the content of my brain.
Yes, you shall not judge me by my looks, but by the content of my brain.
Exactly. And you can imagine the amount of, perspective he's changed. There are people who are seated there. They're from corporates. They're holding high positions in office.
And they have sons.
And they have sons.
And they see their sons wearing ripped jeans. What do you mean?
What are you doing? Yeah. And I went ahead and told them, mimi nikiva trouser yenye imeraruka mazi aki haikuhusu.
Exactly.
Haikuhusu aki.
Yeah.
Trouser ni yangu, mwili ni yangu, baridi nikisikia ni mimi nitapata homa.
Ni wewe unasikia.
Umeniambia ni kama nifanye kazi. Nimetokea, nimedo job.
That's all you want. You want my brains.
Yeah,
so the outfit shouldn't matter.
How I dress really, I don't see it being
exactly. And that's very meaningful conversations. I mean, this is just something that's an eye opener also.
It bridges the gap between two generations.
It does.
One generation that is aping everything from social media and online, and Ole Kaparo's generation that has been aping everything from the Mzungu side. Remember how when they went to school,
dress neatly,
have
proper language,
speak the Queen's English.
Yes.
Kama ni Kiswahili ongele Kiswahili kwa darasa. You remember that?
And that's been posed as the right way of living.
Yeah.
Then now you're an example.
But
if these are things that you follow by the book.
We have Brian and I who are picking everything from TikTok, Twitter, we have to see kile watu South Africa wanafanya.
Exactly. Na ikasemekana, we spend too much time on our phones. And, of course, time is a factor here. But we spend too much time on our phones. Mimi nikawaambia, because as a Gen Z, born in 98, 2000, 2001, 2002, me growing up, sijai on a life without the internet. I don't know life without a mobile phone.
Correct.
How?
There's no life without a mobile phone. There's no life without the internet. It's not possible for me to walk around without a car.
That's true.
Mat, si uchukue tu mat, unatembea nini? Si uchukue tu mat. Wewe tembea kama unataka kufanya exercise, but chukua tu mat. So mikawaambia, yes, kama Gen Z, ukiniambia natumia simu sana, but I was employed by the Nation Media Group because I was big on social media. Yes, correct. Content niko nayo. Na hiyo man cave kuna tickets niliuza because I did a video on TikTok.
And you posted it up?
I posted it up.
People saw it?
People saw it. Yes. It had 200,000 views.
Exactly.
On TikTok.
And see?
And of course, that was a proper conversion.
It
Guys
is.
at least heard about that event.
Everybody who bought a ticket to that event bought it through their phone.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. That makes it very easy. Also, like it or not, things are changing.
Yeah.
So we go with the wave as it is.
However, there are some things that, of course, you also pick because you don't go to that function hard-headed, holding on one side.
Yeah.
For instance, there are some things that our generation would be like, if you employ me from 8 to 5, 5:30 mbona nifanya kazi past 5:30.
Yeah.
Your generation yetu inaweza sema hivyo.
Tuulize hivyo.
Umeniambia umeniambia
is there OT? Is there overtime? Am I getting paid for overtime?
Exactly.
Ninge job saa 2 nitoke 5. Kwa nataka nitoke 5:30 na ulipe overtime. Unajua?
Hata 5 for 5 ni tricky.
Yeah, 5 for 5 ni tricky. However, I was answered very well because it was also a learning experience by Jonah Lanamu and Francis Ole Kaparo himself.
Yes.
And even